colonel in the U.S. Marines who had served for 24 years resigned in September and is now warning people about our country's future under President Donald Trump. In an op-ed titled, "I resigned from the military because of Trump," published in the Washington Post on Thursday, Doug Krugman noted that no commander-in-chief is perfect. Well, we know that. But said, nevertheless, that he believed that previous administrations had taken their oaths to the Constitution seriously, all except for Donald Trump, who has repeatedly talked about the enemy within as he points our military at our own cities. Democrat-controlled cities like LA, Chicago, Portland. Now, Krugman writes in his op-ed that although it was not clear to him if Donald Trump was referring to real crime or political dissent, he said this: "Military force is not the answer." And that's it, right on. Look, military force, not needed. Portland's not burning down. I mean, you can see videos of like people dressed up in frog costumes and dinosaur costumes dancing in the streets. That does not look like a hellhole, okay? That does not look like anything is burning down. There is no invasion. Crime across the country is at an all-time low. There is no valid pretext for sending the military into our cities. And even if there was, by the way, it would be against the law for a president to use the military for law enforcement duties inside of our borders. Posse comitatus, okay? Look it up. Now, there are some very specific circumstances, as I already mentioned, an invasion or a rebellion, mass riots, none of which are happening. And that's, of course, this administration would love to claim that this is happening, that, oh, well, look at all the mass riots. Oh, my God, we must do the Insurrection Act. And look, I'm obviously there's a lot of people that are worried that that's what they're going to do in this weekend's No Kings protests, which are supposed to be massive, okay? But again, that is just that is supposed to be a peaceful protest against kings, okay? Hey, what? I mean, why would Donald Trump be upset about that? I thought he didn't believe in kings, right? Or any of these Republicans. Very strange. But anyway, look, none of this is happening. And so there is absolutely no reason to bring the military into the cities. That's it. Okay? Now, that said, Krugman also stated that Trump's actions during his first term became, in his words, increasingly difficult to justify and ultimately culminated in the January 6, 2021 insurrection on Capitol Hill. "I had hoped he had learned from those errors," he said, "but it only took a few days of his second term for me to realize that he had not." And there you are. There it is. Okay. There it is. No, he didn't learn from those errors. I mean, I don't know how you can look at this guy and be like, oh, yeah, no, this is a guy who learns his lesson when he is wrong. Really? No, not really, no. But again, he might be late to the party, but at least he's on the right side now, okay? In fact, he said, quote, "I could not swear without reservation to follow a commander-in-chief who seems so willing to disregard the Constitution." He said that he finally understood what a danger Trump was after he had pardoned the Capitol rioters. That was one of the big things, right? Wait, you pardoned all 1,500 Capitol rioters, including the people who were in the Proud Boys that were found guilty of seditious conspiracy. That ain't right. Now, he also took a stance against Trump halting refugee programs via executive orders, which affected tens of thousands of Afghan refugees, some of whom, the former colonel said, had risked their lives to support us. That is the ultimate betrayal. Okay? Again, these people risked their lives to, turn against the Taliban and support the U.S. while we were in Afghanistan. And this administration's like, don't care. Gone. Deported back to Afghanistan, where they will most certainly be murdered. And there it is. Quote, "These are not the kinds of actions that I'm willing to risk my life to defend," he wrote. Good. Good. Now, while Krugman says he still respects those who serve in the military, he advised them that if they have doubts about their orders, they are not alone. Quote, "They should be confident in questioning possibly immoral or illegal orders, remembering they are responsible for their own actions and knowing others are asking the same questions." There you are. His statement, by the way, makes me think of one of the reasons that MAGA has been so focused on the youth, particularly young men, recruiting them, okay? It's because young men are often used as the shock troops for authoritarian regimes. They follow orders regardless of their legality, okay? And so anybody who wants to take over a government and turn it into fascism, they have to have buy-in from young men. And unfortunately, currently the right wing has that. Young men, remember, swung very far right in this last election, thanks to the efforts of right-wing influencers, podcast bros, organizations like Turning Point USA. A lot of those young men, were influenced by that and have joined things like the police or the military, okay? And I have talked about before how white supremacist organizations would often encourage their own members to join the military or police for training purposes, get access to weaponry, okay? So now the fact that, yes, older military members who are, a lot of them are conservative, right? Not all of them. There's a significant portion, I believe, that are in the military that become leftists, okay? Once they see the reality of the situation. But, there are right-wingers, a lot of right-wingers in military, or a lot of right-wingers in law enforcement, etc. These are just right-wing organizations. Nonetheless, even if you're conservative, that does not make you a fascist, okay? And so people who are conservative in their personal beliefs are like, whoa, hold on here. I do not like what is going on, okay? And a lot of them are resigning their positions, and they're speaking out. Now, that said, that is both good and bad. Bad, mainly because they're no longer in those positions of power to be able to push back, which means that, of course, someone else who will play ball will be in those positions. So that's not good. I only hope that Krugman is right, that people like him who are still serving, but have stayed quiet because the military is supposed to be apolitical, right? I just hope that they're not alone and are just as horrified behind the scenes at what's going on as he is, okay? And if it ever comes to Trump ordering the military to fire on civilians or enact any other kind of illegal or immoral orders, that they do the right thing and not follow those orders. Because at the end of the day, we got to remember, soldiers are not machines. They have to think. They have to decide if an order is moral or not. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.